prayer, bringing your hand to your heart and your eyes to a close, breathing in once and letting it go. And again. Third time together, breathe in. God, infinite intelligence, guide this conversation for the highest and best good of all here and all who we touch with grace and ease. Get me out of the way. I surrender to what is meant to be. Thank you for presence, the gift of existence. And may this be full of fun and play and joy. Aho and amen. All right. So, what has you say yes to being back here today? Like, what would you like to focus on and work on in the realm of relationship? I know we maybe suggested we might be talking about sex today. That was a particular joy
Hmm.
last time. Put in the
Two things
chat.
there. So I meant, go ahead if you want, Lewis,
Well, either
real
put in
quick.
the chat
Two
or
things.
come off of mute. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Well, one, I met a friend recently that is also interested in moving to Austin before she met Kayla or myself. And she was, I said a joke to her, like, hello, Freud, because she was like, everything is sex. But because of what she's dealing with right now in the 4D, you could say, she is kind of processing some things and maybe not fully representing it through words in the way that she might otherwise. But I understand that as metasex and the idea of like, even just in philosophy and science, whatever, there's the brainchild, right? So that could seem a bit too, what's the word, cerebral or abstract, but just as a general principle, that's been kind of a guiding thought for me since I got more philosophical in an actual writer at 24. And that's kind of the more direct journey that's led me to like this moment and being wanting to get into the relentlessness and the divine surrender, because those are phrases that I'm using in my own sort of frameworks that I've been developing off and on for 11 years. But as personally, like I have a new relationship, it's not official yet, but there is a sapiosexual, or you could say metasexual, like component to it, where she's helping me become more psychic naturally just by doing and being how she is. And I'm helping her become more philosophic in the same sense. And we're kind of growing, switching off between left brain, right brain type of thing. But then the other thing is, I guess, in that, like, we had our first more tense moment. Yeah, it wasn't a full fight, but she was processing things from her last relationship. It's probably it's probably a meaningful sync that just fell on the ground like it did when I said that. But yeah, those are kind of the two things. It's like handling tension and seeing how to frame sex in more holistic perspective, and however you might frame that, in your system or how, yeah.
I love that.
Thank you.
You landed the plane. I love that too. Like, I was like, I'm not sure where this is going. And then it ended up making sense according to the prompt. So that was beautiful. Thank you. Um, and then Jesse, what would you like? What if there were a challenge or desire or intention for exploration around relationship, sex, intimacy, even dating? What would that be for you? What would make today amazing for you? There may be something about to jump in the chat. That's cool too. All right. I was watching Kevin Trudeau's Limitless show on YouTube earlier this week, and it was such a shot of adrenaline. Like I was so he was like, here's why and how I manifested prison. And I was like, what? Yeah. Frameworks of metasex versus sex, how to handle tension moments in romantic and intimate connections. All right. So give you another minute to put in the chat, or you can come off of mute. Either way is fine.
Yeah, I
Who
shouldn't have too much background noise here. Yeah, go ahead.
sounds good. Just a quick show of hands who read the PDF. Everybody honored their word. That's great.
Ooh,
Oh,
where's it?
oh, I thought you, Joseph.
No,
Did you read the?
dang it. Sorry, my screen does this thing. All right, now I can do it. Yep. Okay.
Oh, awesome. Go ahead,
Good
Jesse. I
one.
see you're off of mute now.
Let me just turn that down. Just writing out what I wanted to say, so it was not a blather. The most of my life I've been level one or two, as you described them.
Yeah.
And maybe about 5 years ago, when I really started taking Wayne Dyer seriously, I
Hmm.
started to actually
Mm,
consider that there's more to life than just this mechanistic procreation process, or
Uh-huh.
however you want to look at it. And so I'd say maybe I started to get into level three. Everything you just said for Doorman for us is alien to me. Like there was just like,
oh,
holy crap, what is this guy talking about? So you guys are extremely advanced. When as you guys are moving into these these higher level relationships, especially with sex, how do you balance like what you're familiar with? So, for instance, like I know a
mm,
lot about the movement of energy and tantra, and I stumbled across a lot of it by accident, like an orgasm that feels like it starts here. I don't even know what that is. Some people call it a spiritual orgasm. I don't actually know what it is.
Yep.
mm,
But then, like when you get with a girl, especially because I'm a 220 pound man, a lot of girls want me because they want a
mm.
barbarian. And it's like that. I used to love
Ah,
that, everything, but now it's like I don't want to lose that because that's fun. But at the same
mm,
time, it's like, yeah, do you guys get what I'm saying? And like that's one
Yeah.
example from sex, but the same thing, like what do you want to do? Let's go camping. Okay, I did that when I was 20. I still love camping, but I'm sure the way
but
you
that's not
guys
all
would.
you are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys would use completely different terminology to describe what I just said. And so like that's but the best I can explain.
Hmm.
How do you mix all this together so that because what I want to avoid is you sometimes hear people, especially when the word tantra, and oh, I'm a tantric master, and their sex lives suck. They're almost like celibate. They never have sex. Or I'm a spiritual master and they're miserable, or they're
They're
completely
more like a
aloof from
eunuch.
reality. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like well, Swami Sri
Hmm.
Yukteswar said it quite well in Autobiography of a Yogi. Um, he
Hmm.
said to Paramahansa Yogananda that sometimes men would come to him and they haven't had sex in 20 years and they say, I'll take a vow of celibacy. And he's like, that's
Huh.
pointless. You don't have sex anyways. And so it's like people who are trying to take what
Yeah.
you guys are talking about and use it as a crutch. I see. I unfortunately know what you guys.
Ah.
So you guys hear what I'm saying? You've got the vocabulary. I don't.
You mean
Yeah.
like a crutch, like an excuse not to really get out of one comfort zone, right? And take the risks or just live the life that's going to have risks inevitably, or if you look at it in that ego way, maybe. That's one thing you were just
When
saying, is what I got.
Yeah, or like
Yeah.
looking at it instead of being there. Like last week, I responded to someone about I went into Gamma State. I only use that terminology
Hmm.
because most people are familiar with Dr. Joe Dispenza. So they know the Gamma State. That's not how I would describe
Hmm.
it. It was for the first time I was
Hmm.
completely vulnerable with a woman. She could have destroyed me. I was helpless, and that's how I and
Ah,
like and my
she
my
had you
my
seduced. Yeah.
pardon me.
That's, she had you seduced or entranced and you were just kind of lost in it type moment.
Well, it sounds like
No,
more that he had his heart open and was completely
yeah.
like
Oh, I
formed.
Yeah,
see.
orga. I went
Okay.
non-local. Like my consciousness went
Yeah.
from being in this
Oh,
body to not in this body,
yeah.
and it wasn't an out-of-body experience.
Oh,
That's still equalized consciousness. I didn't go into
huh.
samadhi. I didn't do what Paramahansa Yogananda talks about, but it was something
Oh,
that I can
samadhi.
describe
Yeah.
as being in this point.
Hmm.
And it was like,
Hmm.
and Joe Dispenza talks about that in his classes, that people will get into a state where they're
Hmm.
not trapped in one point
Like,
of view.
oh, the
So that's
0 point field, like kind of open to the horizon of the infinite, but still anchored
I
in
don't
the
know.
physical world. Because you're, okay.
You
Yeah,
guys are
that
way
that
more
feels about
advanced.
right.
Most guys I talk to
Hmm.
say get her done. Like that's the extent. Like it's
Yeah.
like I have lots of friends who know how to
I
make
get it.
money. I have lots of friends who know how to make love.
Hmm.
Leave it at that.
Ah. Oh, I like that distinction. Yeah.
So we've
Because
got
I made a lot of love recently, but not a lot of money. But yeah, sorry, go ahead, Lewis.
we've got a lot of stuff to dance with. I love this. So let me
Yeah.
rephrase and reframe your question, challenge, inquiry that you're in, Jesse, so that I know that I've got it. Um, it's basically how do you um, be fully authentic around this or express around the more spiritual aspects of sex? Is that like, and how do you mix everything together?
Yeah, yeah. How do you
Yeah.
um it's like if you saw my Facebook page, I'm a follower of Sai Ma. If you ever watch any of her videos, all the time she's tearing people down who try and use fancy Eastern technology to describe reality, and she'll say,
Uh,
just be, just be. And it's like the
mm,
people are
mm.
been on the spiritual path for 30 years. They're barely more advanced than at the beginning because they're looking at it. They're
So
not
are they
talking.
really on the spiritual path, right? Or like how
Yeah.
good is the path that they're on?
How
Yeah.
do you spell Saima?
It's SAI space MAA. She was Sai Baba's, his chief disciple.
Fascinating.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I don't need to wax poetic about her, but it's like the very first time I met her, I was pulled over my body. But I've observed her
Ooh.
break the laws of physics. Like the stuff that's an autobiography of a yogi, I
Whoa.
can no longer like. She's disappeared on stage. It was in 2021. We were listening to the Lord's Prayer being sung in Aramaic, and she just disappeared. And it wasn't in a poof of smoke. She was not there, and then she came back. And I've
Hmm.
been cleaning my house, and the spray from my bottle turned into dust, gold dust. It's like it's
Whoa.
unexplained. And it's like in the like
Yeah.
you guys probably already know, but in the actually I think in the West too, it's like if you think about
Hmm.
Wayne Dyer said it well, we came from nowhere or heaven, whatever you want to call it, and we're now
Hmm.
here, and then we go back to nowhere. So it's
Yeah.
like the East and the West have a different way of saying this is the dream, and so the laws of physics are
Ah.
yeah. And so anyway,
Yeah.
I'm not the spiritual masters. Like go listen to Ram Dass or someone. I've just observed someone
Hmm.
who she really walks
Hmm.
the walk and she's really helped me because
Ah.
you guys have heard my
Yeah.
chief. I don't want to turn into someone who says they're spiritual. As Jesus told the story about the two sons, the one son says no to the father and then goes and does his work. The other one says yes to the father and
Hmm.
then doesn't do his work. That's a lot of spiritual people. Oh yes, I wear a fancy
Yep.
orange robe and they don't do God's will. They do their ego's will.
Yeah,
So
this
that's
is
that.
Hmm.
Like
yeah, so if I may tease it out, it sounds like you want to have the maximum flourishing and thriving in spirituality, but also in sexuality. Cool. I knew we could find it. That's great. So
Hmm.
let's dance with both. I'll start with the tension and challenge like moments in romantic and intimate connections. And I'll give some framing around that. And then we'll spend the majority of the time on sex. And um, we may even
Hmm.
complete the co-empowerment decrees that we
Yeah.
started last time. That was a promise I made originally for Antonija, who she was going to be here tonight, but for whatever reason, she's not. So let's go into
Hmm.
tension moments in romantic and intimate connections. So, in as elegant a manner as possible,
Hmm.
like the briefest number of words, the most grounded language, the most direct and clear, what happened with the conflict? And
Hmm.
like let's get on the court with this instead of in the stands. Like we're not here to just watch a game, we're here to play the game of
Right.
fighting.
Right.
Um, did it go as well as you would like, or did it not? And what
Hmm.
happened?
Hmm. So Kayla and I have, just to set the context, we have only known each other for 3 weeks. And right before we met, one of my most trusted and powerful oracle, medium type friends,
What happened
called in
with the fight?
my oversoul flame. Sorry, go ahead.
What happened with the fight?
Yeah, so with that context, like there was a conversation about, being twin flames or not after she said that she felt distance from me. And that was the first time she had said that. And I was thinking, well, as she was telling me this, like, okay, we talked for at least 2 hours today, which is usually how much we talk at least the past 3 weeks every day. And, we're both dealing with ascension symptoms that add to that. And whether it's a twin flame or not, there's a lot of like, seem to be activations and chaos around that. But if we stay in flow, which it's been so naturally easy to do. So last night was the first night where we felt out of flow for about 30 or so minutes. And it was because there was somebody else that met me, a woman who's interested in going to Austin, and her and Kayla talked twice. But the first time we met, this woman was like flirting with me and talking about she's polyamorous
So was
and she's
she
looking
jealous?
kind of for a new guy. Yeah, she was feeling jealous. I think she was just feeling fear, right? And so there was some judgment, but like she spoke about it in a very mature way, but you could hear the insecurity, but like it was intense because I'm going through intense feelings in general right now. But then that's the first time I had felt with her like, oh no, like have I hurt her, or she's feeling hurt, you know? And like it's so real time trying to address it because she's brilliant and smart and psychic and we channel naturally together. So that flow wasn't happening. And I can't remember exactly like, this part of the conversation necessarily unless it somehow comes to me. But the one that it was, I don't know, at some point, 30 minutes into the feeling more tense, she just kept saying, like, I just don't think that it's fair that you say that you feel like judged. And then it was kind of like transposing or shifting the topic of, oh, this is the issue, that she would there was more energy and emotion in that, in the not unfairness that she perceived. And it wasn't just about that one thing, right? So that was just, for some reason, that tied in, but she's a woman of integrity, she's very loyal, she follows the rules and so on, you know and she also, that also is like oh, this hurt me as someone that would never have bad intentions or whatever, because she told me before, you will always be believed even if I don't sense whatever. And so I don't know, we so
Yeah,
is that enough of a, yeah.
it does. It does. So, or it is. The thing that I'm hearing most, well, that I'm most curious about is was there a rupture? And what I mean by that is, did you leave debris in the field? Like, is there still distance? Or was there
Mm.
some measure of reconciliation? Yes or no?
No, yes, there was no resistance distance left. There's reconciliation that same night within an hour of it emerging. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so there's a lot here. The first question I
Yeah.
have for you is, what explicit, clear, conscious agreements do you guys have? Like, are you in a committed, clear, hey, I will be monogamous with you container and frame?
That we've expressed that, like, neither of us has ever been in polyamory relationships, so we've only ever been in monogamous ones. And we both expressed a desire to fully explore this with each other as we're getting to know each other daily. But also we've talked about plans. We have not made formal, official, like explicit yet, because until her divorce is finalized, which she initiated before we met,
Hmm.
right? Um, so that might be end of November, it might be midway through December, but it should be, but well, by the new year. And that's I was planning on moving to Austin in January, right? It's like the tentative timeline right now for me to move there, but I have to figure out where I'm going to live, who I'm going to live with, right? And what my income source is going to be. So that's like my next major step.
Here's
Yeah.
the question. Do you
All right.
desire to have her feel safe and honored,
Mm,
beloved, and nourished and
mm,
nurtured by y'all's connection?
yes.
Okay. Um, do you desire monogamy with her? Yes or no?
Oh, yes.
Oh, well, man, this can be solved very simply with the
Mm,
creation of an agreement. This particular problem, the
mm,
handling of tension in general, will dance with that too. But
yeah.
if you make a clear agreement
Yeah.
standing in your word as a man that, hey,
Mm.
I am yours and you are mine. That's how I'm here to play with you. Like I'm
Hmm.
not interested in anybody else right now. I'm not here to be polyamorous. Then her nervous system can relax into the safety and security of knowing she does not have to worry. Now, you might not have said
Mm.
something that clear, that direct, or that bold yet, and I know it's new,
Yeah.
but if you do desire
Mm.
it with her, there's no reason not to, and there's every reason
Hmm.
that it'll support you. So do you see what I'm offering?
Yeah, if that's what we both want, right? And I have to make that decision with myself, right, before I approach her to make that, to express that decision in that desire, to discuss which types of commitments we would actually agree to, right?
Yeah, what
Yeah.
that means and what that looks like is between you, her, and God for sure. And
Hmm.
it's a choose your
Yeah.
own adventure story. But what I
Hmm.
have found is, and this is a pretty controversial opinion, um,
Mm.
most women who are
Huh.
engaging in polyamory are engaged in avoidant attachment, um,
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, I see
dysregulation
that, man. I
behavior,
see that.
and
Yeah.
most women desire a monogamous container. I'm not saying it's impossible for there to be legitimate,
Mm.
healthy, aligned exceptions. It seems like there might be some of
Hmm.
them out there, but by and large, if she
Yeah.
can know and trust and relax into your leadership, your frame, your commitment to her, then
Hmm.
all sorts of intimacy can follow and depth of intimacy beyond most people's imagination. But
Mm.
most men are
Yeah.
not willing to like be bold and ballsy and just be like, here's the line. And
Well,
and it will
that's
be
the more intimidating thing, right?
that.
To actually be bold with commitment to one person, one woman as a man.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, I'm on.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's vulnerable to offer a woman
Hmm.
that off the bat or first. But I have found that it works really amazingly.
Hold on a second.
Oh, he's having a conversation. So, hmm, we could talk about sexuality and porn in the five levels as an example in the meantime. So I'll go straight in the direction of sex. Have you heard of upaya? Upaya is a term.
No, I haven't.
Okay, you back, Joseph?
I am. I have an anxious mother that makes everything more complicated sometimes. So,
All right. So upaya is skillful means. Literally anything can be turned into a means to grow further in the direction of enlightenment, God, source, truth, infinite intelligence, whatever. How do I know? Because even my worst mistakes have been transmuted into a cosmic plan or used for growth. Now, just because every and any misstep can be used by God, so to speak, for our highest good, does not mean that we should take missteps. Like anything less than your highest choice is self-sabotage. So, in the realm of sexuality, um, someone could go the path of full-on celibacy for sure. They could go on full-on married. They could go full-on like sexual wildness. Now, that middle path is tricky because there are real energetic and nervous system level consequences. There are different energy bodies, and whether you know it, like it, agree with it, believe it or not, when you plug into somebody else, you're taking on karma. You're plugging into their whole life circumstance. You're initiating biochemical and neurological reactions that you're no longer in charge of. So, who here has ever had the experience of being in a situationship that crept into a relationship because of sex? Yeah. And um that's the biggest point of contention is like be informed, then choose was Alexander Shulgin, the famous psychopharmacologist. advising about use of phenethylamines and tryptamines, analogs of mescaline and basically mushrooms, right? And like it is a mind-altering substance, sex. And I tried to give in the PDF a clear distinguishing of the different aspects and angles at which that can be danced with in a connection. But the most important questions are like, am I doing it with conscious awareness? And we can go into what's called the better sex conversation that I got from my teacher, Taylor Johnson. Let me know if you're interested in that, because that's a way of setting the frame in the container. Cool, we'll do that. So that you're not stumbling unconsciously into creating something that causes pain for anybody on any level at any duration of time. Um, and then the other thing, I mean, obviously you can feel into it, right? Just because you feel turned on by someone does not mean that sex is the greatest choice. Who has learned this lesson as well? Um, yeah,
Amen. Amen.
yeah, because sexual desire or magnetism, it like those sparks that fly can be the sign that something is supposed to be created between you two, not necessarily a baby. And if you're a highly sexually polarized or charged man, you're going to be turning women on and turned on by women all the time. I was walking in the HEB parking lot. This is grocery store a couple blocks away from my apartment. And I saw this woman and her waist and her shape was so attractive to me that just noticing it, I started to get turned on and I was like, whoa. And what one of my mentors says is you smell and receive the beauty of a woman the way that you would a flower. You don't have to pick it. You don't have to replant it. You don't have to mess with it. You can enjoy it without the consequence of, oh, now I've got to go after it or I've got to do something about it. And you're absolutely right, though, too, Jesse, that some people overpendulate in spirituality in the direction of asexuality. That's also not what I'm recommending. Um, in my book, there's a whole chapter about sexuality and about unleashing the beast. The beast is part personality that I think everyone has, whose soul or an instinctual neurological structure that I think everyone has, craving the most delicious erotic sensation possible or available. And seldom do we get the freedom and fearlessness and container where we can set that loose, where we're like, oh, I want to try all these things. I want to do all these things. By the way, there's a scholar, Judy Dutton, she wrote a book, How We Do It. And she goes into because who's heard of the G spot? Right, I'm sure. How about the A spot or the U spot? Oh, a little bit. Okay, cool. So she unearthed all this amazing research, like the Athena 10X pheromone, which is scientifically double-blind studied that a man can wear and increases sexual attractiveness by like 10X or something. And it works. And she quotes a scientific study that was looking into what is the optimal, like most fulfilling number of sexual partners for an individual. You guys want to take a guess in the chat? Like, just give me a number. Yeah, you'd think. You'd think that. I wonder what Joseph's guess is. Yeah, you'd think that. The optimal number is one. The optimal number is actually one scientifically. And it's not bad or wrong if you want or experience the desire for more, so long as you're communicating consciously and they know what they're buying into. I'd say relationships in that fashion are usually short-lived. Like you're having sex, you're hooking up, and then it dissipates because given the choice between just sex and sex with intimacy, which would you all choose? If you could only choose one, sex with intimacy, yeah. Given the choice between sex with a partner who you eventually have to have a painful breakup with intimacy, or someone who you don't have to have a breakup with, which would you choose? Like no breakup. Yeah.
Are you asking if I would choose intimacy and pain or just no pain, but then no intimacy?
That's a good question. It's it's intimacy and pain or intimacy without the pain of a breakup later.
That one.
Yeah. So you can see it in how we engage in the answers to these questions that most people would love to be, as they say, met and engaged with at the level of emotional intimacy as well as sexual desire. And given that, um, there's this other question, which is like, would you like the maximum amount of spiritual growth through your sex or not? So that's a yes from Jesse. And yeah, I'm pretty sure with his meta sex distinction. Yeah. So then, and this is my current hypothesis. You're free to test it and prove me wrong at your own risk. Is that the depth of spiritual connection, growth, emotional intimacy, and physical satisfaction that is available between two people, if you want to max that out and flourish at the deepest levels and the highest heights, one is all you need, one is your best number, and pursuing more than one at a time can be really chaotic and destabilizing. Ask someone who's done polyamorous adventures far too many times, right? So I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you what I've learned from what I've seen and what I've experienced, right? So standing there, um, continuity of the engagement or relation. Yeah, continuity of the relation. So standing there, it's okay to have sex so long as sex doesn't have you. So we're going to go briefly back through the five levels with sex. You're going to love this. And these classes may just be that, just the five levels from different angles, because there's so much there. So, level one is where you feel powerless over the experience of sexual desire and need, hunger, lust, pornography, desperation, loneliness. These are in a space where life and the experience of no sex or sex like junk food sex through porn is all you have, right? So, and that's one of the only, as of the past couple of years, the only chinks in my armor, and I have more or less managed it recently, but use of porn. I could feel the diminishing in my energetic attunement and calibration, my sensitivity, my ability to manifest. Like it just decreased when I would have an orgasm with pornography. And as recently as like March, I remember I was on OnlyFans with this woman, and I was like, um, literally telling her, I was like, "Hey, I know that you are providing me with like sexual nutrition. This is cool, but man, I would really prefer intimacy, and I feel really sad because I remember what I had. It's difficult to come back from depth of spiritual, sexual, and emotional intimacy in one person and just eat junk food again. It really is. And sometimes we do because we're humans. And this is not to be confused with aseptic, like asexual. This is just like um, refinement of taste. That's what David Hume called it. So there are certain people who are able to appreciate art in a deeper way than others because they've studied it, they've cultivated experience with it. It's like wine, a sommelier, right? Who knows what a sommelier is? Someone who's paid to know what like the subtleties in wine are. So when they drink,
Oh, I didn't know that term.
yeah, welcome. So when they drink a glass of wine, they can tell the finish, the body, different flavors at a subtle level. Of course, that's fun. I mean, how cool must that be to get paid to drink and taste wine? and to talk about it in a flowery, elegant way. Um, so yeah, it's like if you develop refinement of taste, like subtle precision in discernment of what you're experiencing, both through body awareness, through energetic field awareness, through emotional sensitivity, it'll be difficult to just get your rocks off or just get her done. And I hear a measure of that. And again, it's okay to have that so long as it doesn't have you. When does it have you? When it draws you down to level one and you're experiencing compelled or addictive sort of like repeated, like you use porn and then you feel hungry to use it again and again, right? Or you look in Taoism, right? And they recommend a certain number of ejaculations per month per man. Otherwise, you're losing Jing and Qi and Shen and whatnot. And I have felt from time to time that, like I can tell you that that at the highest level, it's not necessary to be obsessed with these things. But for most people on the way to their highest choice and their highest thriving, development of sensitivity and feeling into where you're at and where you're coming from is really useful. Is this helpful so far, Jesse?
Yeah, yeah, massive contextualization. Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's go into the remainder of the five levels with sex in general. And then we'll talk about the or I call it the best sex conversation. Because if you can't hit a target you don't aim at, but if you aim at one, it's far more likely to hit it and hit it well. That was a joke. Okay, so level two is where you get power with the creation of sex and you desire to make it happen. Yeah, it took a second to land over there. I see there's a time delay. Um, that's fine. Like with the Wi-Fi. So this is the realm of like pickup artists. So when I was in high school, socially awkward, anxious, introverted, diagnosed with autism, I let go of Christianity and I was like, all right, well, I guess there's no God. Let's eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. Like, let's go do whatever. And I was a virgin. So on my MySpace, who remembers MySpace? There was there was this really cute redheaded woman who was really into me, and we started talking like every day. She was really hot, she was really horny, and she decided, I'm open to and I want to have sex with you. So my 17th birthday, or excuse me, my the night before my 18th birthday, my friend Steve lied to his parents that he was spending the night at my house. I lied to my parents that I was spending the night at his house. He asked for the van. They said no. He stole it and drove me 3.5 hours to get laid. Now, it was awesome. That's dedication, that's commitment, that's friendship, right? Um, but there were a bunch of stories that I got programmed with about the nature of sex because of that experience. One of them was like, it's hard, it requires a lot of work, it isn't easy to receive or enjoy. Um, you know, uh, I've got to do stuff to make it happen. I can't just receive it with grace and ease. And there was also this overpendulation in the direction of like, you're not a man if you don't have sex and you turn 18. That was part of why it happened the day that it did, right? Because I was like, well, shit, I need to get this done. Um, the other thing is there are a lot of cultural messages. Men should be studs, women should be virgins. Oh, wait, no, women should be sluts. Oh, no, men should actually, be alpha and hustle and grind instead of pursuing women, right? What is it? Avoid women, acquire currency. This is the t-shirt. And so
Oh God.
I love seeing this man on camera. It's good to know he has a face. So, uh, at level two, you're still looking for something outside of you, and there is nothing out there. And there's everything too. So one answer to the Buddhist question of like, all right, so life is suffering, the cause of suffering is desire, and the solution to suffering is the Noble Eightfold Path. That's the solution, like calm desire and whatnot. Another solution is, well, it's okay to have my desires so long as they don't have me. So long as I know that I'm playing an infinite game, where my game is just to keep playing and to play lovingly and respectfully with everybody involved, then I can have sex within that. I can enjoy that sexual experience and I can allow my desire to have me for a duration, knowing that it's just a game. Because you not having sex or having sex does not mean anything about you, as it did for me in level two, right? So moving past the blueprint and past the trauma into level three, we realize, okay, well, both, and also level two in sex is like, I got to have her come. I've got to come. I've got to follow the script that they gave me in porn. Or I did some content earlier today. I was talking about how porn and Disney movies are basically the same thing. They are programming from different angles that tells us that there's some story or narrative we need to fulfill in order to be okay. And it's false. It's bunk. In objective reality, there's no way for us to be. However we are works, and whoever we are works, or can work for what we want to create or life in general. This is the pat level three answer. And once you step into level three, it's like, oh, I can still have the barbarian. I can still have the spiritual, like tantric experience, but it's any direction. And so, in order to get into level three, and to have your level two desires, we're going to go into the better sex conversation, which let me grab for you. It's going to take me a second to dig it up. Didn't expect to be using, I mean, I should have expected to be using it today. Best.
Is this call only go till it's only an hour call this tonight, Lewis? Or
If it had just been you and I, it would have been an hour, but we're gonna have a full two. Um, so
okay, cool, cool.
this is full credit where it's due.
Mm,
Taylor Johnson, epic human being, one of my former
mm,
coaches, originated this conversation.
nice.
So the document is really just a cut and paste
Mm,
of a blog
mm.
article that seems to have disappeared. Um, I haven't found it.
Some mandala effect, maybe.
Well, I mean, it was definitely really there, but um,
Yeah,
took it
could
down.
not really have been there in this timeline. Yeah.
Yeah, I see you got that. You love that. Um, I think it's more that I haven't been able to find it again um
Yeah,
on Google. Yeah, yeah, it never existed. Okay, so
same difference at the moment. Yeah.
we're gonna go through it. Oh, I see anonymous hyena. I wonder who
Ooh.
that anonymous hyena is.
Or
It's probably Jesse. All right, so we're gonna go through this piece by piece, and this is a way of setting a container or a frame. By the way, I'm gonna deal with my food real quick so it doesn't burn. Because I'm
what's a sommelier again? Oh, the wine connoisseur.
the what?
Yeah, there's five
A
levels,
sommel.
and
Uh,
uh, like level one, like level five is your full profession. You can drink wine that someone's given you, and you can know what the brand is, the year, the varietal. It's incredible.
mhm.
They actually spend years and years developing their taste buds to be sensitive enough to
Mm.
know the differences. My brother's
It's
not level
serious.
five, but he's enough that
Mm.
yeah, like as you were saying, a level five sommelier, like that's a high five-figure job. And as soon as you put in the years to become
Yeah.
that, you go apply at some five-star restaurant, you get hired right away. It's very difficult to attain.
Wow.
So
Yeah, yeah. To even get near that level, right? Yeah. It's like the Olympic level, sort of, or the Michelin star. Yeah, comes to mind. Okay.
yeah, so welcome to the best sex conversation. I call it that because there's some upgrades and revisions I would recommend. Um, the most important thing when you're embarking upon the possibility of sex or intimacy with somebody is, am I making this choice from my wholeness or am I making this from a hole in me? And if oh, excuse me. Let's see, how do I do this? I'm gonna remove all these other things so that we're not distracted. Oh, actually, you know what? I'll leave those because we're probably gonna go there later. Um, so basically, you would start by saying, "Hey, anybody that you're attracted to, you would ask them, are you open to having a conversation with me? Because clearly there's energy here and I'm attracted to you and I think it'd be cool to have sex with you, but I want to be sure and I want it to be the best it can be. Does that make sense so far? Is that a line you can deliver when you feel energy or turn on with somebody?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. So he gives some great examples about things like, do they want a relationship or they just want casual sex? Do they practice safe sex or do they just have unprotected sex with five people in the past week? Do they expect you to call them the next day or they're in birth control? What would they do, would you do if they got pregnant? And he's got a lot of detail in here, but he also talks about, I'm a little bit unique in that I was talking about that Eric Everhard book, Unleash Your Sexual Superpowers last week.
Mm,
And he says that, oh man, that in sacred body language, achu means I choose. So yeah, I choose skin to skin contact. So I'm unique in that I get all my partners to do natural family planning and to track themselves through an app with absolute fidelity and commitment so that we can just have sex without having to worry about pregnancy and also
mm,
complete skin to skin
mm,
contact because your body, your nervous system is communicating. And if you put that barrier there, there's less information at the visceral somatic body level for how to please her, how
mm,
to be pleased, all the things. Um,
mm,
so it's like blinding your sexual intelligence. Which
mm,
is another reason why it's really useful to have sex with one person who's in a committed container with you at a time, because then
mm,
you're not exposing yourself to a bunch of sexual STD possibilities or the
mm,
chaotic, crazy dynamics that can arise with
mm,
polyamory and your energy taking on energy from another person who's in your person. And so if you don't talk beforehand, you also won't know what turns them on. You won't have the opportunity to share what turns you on, know what their boundaries are, have the opportunity to share your boundaries. So it's better to play a game that you can win and aim at something together.
mm,
And yeah, this it's powerful. It's really powerful. I remember the last woman who I had sex with, it was the greatest sex of my life.
mm,
I delivered this conversation to her through a voice note and asked her, what are your needs, boundaries, desires, but basically the realm of it. She was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so mature and responsible and respectful and new and really cool and thank you." Like she was really
mm,
open to and flattered and complimented by the commitment that I had to respecting and honoring her as a person by inviting her
mm,
into this style of a conversation. Now, that was after we had already had sex. So I failed. I failed. This was like 3 years ago now. I failed to stay awake at the wheel of my own desires initially in that relationship. And I even muscle tested and asked my intuition, like, is this a good choice? And I muscle tested it. You guys know what muscle testing is? Muscle testing. Okay, yeah.
uh, a
Um,
litmus test. Yeah.
yeah, it's like a way of tuning into through the truth that your muscles are aware of, whether or not, like, my name is
Mm,
Lewis, my name is Fred, right? Your muscles get weaker
mm,
when you speak a falsehood.
mm,
So I was like, this is a good
mm,
idea. And I gotta know.
mm,
But I was already turned on, and in fact, we're gonna get to how I'm pretty sure it was actually level five, like that was
mm,
moving me through that relationship, that my intuition guided me. Because again,
mm,
God can use anything and everything that we do, even if we make a misstep.
mm,
But
mm,
the the other thing is like you're if you know what turns them on and they know what turns you on, it's
mm,
not like a slot machine. It's not like cancel clear. Yeah, it's not like a slot machine and it's not like an ATM either. So
mm,
don't punch in a bunch of buttons and just get what you want. And you don't also just wander in stumbly and blind. You are actually giving them, like educating them on how to play you like a fine violin. Like here's
mm,
how this works, here's how that works, if you want to do that, right? And it doesn't turn into a like somebody was making fun of this. he strokes my clit the way that he's trying to get a stain out of carpet or something. Like there's technique and skill, and then there's like, well, she told me she liked it.
Ugh.
Like, no, there's style, there's grace,
Mm,
there's jazz to it.
mhm,
Bio digital
mhm,
jazz, man, to quote the dude
mm,
from Tron Legacy,
mhm.
also known as
Oh
Kevin.
my gosh.
Yeah, great films,
Mhm.
those films. But
Yes.
let's go
Yeah.
into the simple version, and then
Mm,
we'll go into the deeper version, right? So the simple version is, hey, um, do you have any STDs? Is there anything I should know about? It'd be good to know. Um, what are your sexual preferences? Like, what are you open to? Because, a threesome might be on the table
mm,
if they are bi or whatever. Are you in a relationship? That would be good to know.
mm.
Who would rather not participate in or contribute to someone cheating on their partner?
Yes. No. No.
Face the
No. No.
lie and hide it from you if they're into that or whatever, but
Oh.
at least you asked.
Oh.
What would
Oh.
having sex mean to you? This is the most important question, arguably, because most people don't know what their nervous system or their heart is making sex mean for them. And so then
Mhm,
they walk in thinking, oh, this is just casual, this is just whatever. And they have the frame or in the intention for that, even. Like maybe they think that's all it's going to
mm,
mean. But then their nervous system
mm,
gets involved.
mm,
And their nervous system energetically can get hooked into the other person, whether they know it, like it, agree with it, believe it or not. In fact, for up to 3 weeks after having sex with a man, a woman um, is likely to adhere to him, like
mm,
energetically. And if
mm,
she has sex again, like within 2 to 3 weeks, as I've heard, this is from Alison Armstrong. The Amazing
mm,
Development of Men was one of her books, and then she's been a student of human nature for a very long time in this realm. And she talks about for women, there's like the potential for an oxytocin jump. And then suddenly she's stumbled into a relationship with you because she had sex with you. I had this happen once. Somebody who was in a polyamorous relationship and they were like, all right, we can make out, but we can't have sex. Like you can't put your penis in me. And then she was like, all right, well, you can, but just the tip. It was not just the tip, it was a whole thing. And then the next day she was like, "Hey, so you're my boyfriend now." And I was like, "What?" Because she only has sex with her boyfriend. And she had sex with me, therefore I am her boy. I must be her boyfriend. I was like, wait a second.
Whoa, dude. No, no, no.
Sex
No.
was something to her that we weren't clear on. She was kind of clear on it, but she didn't like hold her healthy boundaries, and I didn't either. And anyway, would anybody else be impacted? That was a question I could have later asked this person because I forget his name, but her partner who she was sort of with, and I say sort of with because it was a polyamorous thing, he was definitely impacted and negatively, and there was sort of chaos and noise on the line. And then female
Mm,
reproductive cycle awareness, right? So a woman is more attractive and gets higher tips, basically. There's all kinds of things that go on when she's ovulating.
mm,
So there's a physiological fact. And I went out to Tron Ares with a female friend of mine, fucking beautiful woman. And we're just friends. She's she's got a lot going on, and I'm like, she's attractive, but I don't there was a time when I was interested, but and she was also dating somebody, and then it didn't work out. Anyway, she dressed in this way that was really revealing. And I was like, what's up with this? Like, are you ovulating? Because this is a hey, I'm trying to attract a mate dress. And she was like, oh, that's really good feedback. So they don't even know that they're doing it. It's an unconscious thing. And
mm,
like there's a statistic from Recapture the Rapture, Rethinking God, Sex, and Death in a World That's Gone Crazy by I think it's Stephen Kotler. He talks about how um women's sexual drive and desires change slightly, like they migrate in a certain direction around ovulation, in the direction of like wanting a novel partner, like depending on, so that there's a biological spectrum and it's genetic where someone is more likely to pair bond or more likely to be what's called promiscuous, like desiring more sexual partners. And there's a specific gene in men that regulates for this. And in Luann Brisendine's book, the Female Brain and the Male Brain, she talks about this. Her joke was, it's not the length of his penis that matters most, it's the length of this gene. Because then it results in his predilections. Now, epigenetics is also a thing. So we're not the slave of our biology. And any desire to commit or relationship container you desire to create can be really nourishing and nurturing and profound and a practice. Like, even if it goes against technically your biology, there can be something there for you in harvesting sexual and erotic energy. Esther Perel, in her book, crap, I forget the name of the book, but there's a whole chapter on the energy of the third. So if you can include like, hey, I'm turned on by that person, like, and share it with your partner, your desire and fantasy and erotic charge can grow even if you never do anything with that other person. Because that sexual desire for that other person doesn't mean that you have to go be with that other person. It can actually add stuff. So, female, I don't know how we got there, but is that entertaining and fun? I'm just checking in my wild tangents. Okay. So pregnancy prevention. Next conversation. What do I use for birth control? Either the pull-out or the natural family planning method. Expectations and aftercare, right? You don't want to be that one night stand, even if you are having one, that leaves her feeling upset and frustrated. You would, I mean, if it was great sex, maybe have it be something that you can repeat, right? So is this conversation making sense? Do you guys have any questions about the simple form? No? Okay, cool. So we'll go into part two. Desires, what would you like to experience? Anything you're concerned about? What do you not want to do? So when I was involved in One Taste, we would do this orgasmic meditation thing with women. And then women would actually message us and say, here's my desire. Or we would walk up to a woman and say, here's my desire. I would like to have a makeout with you. And makeout was a general term for, like, it framed any kind of a sexual adventure or experience. And then they'd be like, oh, yes. And I'd be like, okay, so I want to do this, this, and this. And I was approached for a threesome at one point by this incredibly hot woman. She wanted to have me and this other guy. And then there was another time where this woman, this was late last year actually, she was like, I want sexual, erotic touch and sensual engagement without actual sex. Like maybe we'll have sex, but generally I just want to engage with like what is my desire for touching you? What is your desire for being touched? What is your desire for touching me? And what is my desire for you touching me? Because those are four separate things, right? And you can dance on any of those channels. So desires, what would you like to experience? They can be any from this realm. And it could be like, I desire to have you touch me in whatever way feels most nourishing and aligned to you. And by the way, this conversation brings it out of an ego power game, trying to achieve status, wham bam, thank you, ma'am, notch on the bedpost. It brings it into a conscious space where you're open for anything, not attached to anything, and grateful to receive everything. Sound fun? Yeah. So this is conscious awareness and anything you're concerned about. Well, that one time that short redhead hit me in the face, I felt disgraced and I literally ran away. So I'm concerned that you might like hit me. I don't want you to hit me, honey, or pretty lady. Like I'm down for like biting or whatever, but anything you're concerned about. Then boundaries. What do you not want to do? Like maybe she's not down for penetration. Maybe she's not down for anal. I mean, like it's good to know instead of making that mistake later, right? Um, so let's go into the deeper version. Uh, he's really light in the way that he proposes it. Hey, I learned this awesome format of a conversation that's good to have with a person I might be interested in to see if we're on the same page. Would you be down to try it? And usually, if you guys want my catch-all for social influence, it's can I share something with you? Because if you ask someone that, you haven't actually asked them anything. You're asking, can I communicate something that maybe I had some trepidation about? And of course, they're intrigued now. You didn't tell them what you're going to share them, so they want to know. And then you take the conversation whichever direction you want to go. So, to go deeper into physical health, the last time I was tested for STIs was I was tested for this, this, and this. My results were whatever. This is kind of boring stuff, but since your last test, what sexual acts have you engaged in and with how many people? Um, and then you get clear so that you know what you're stepping into physically. Now, what he kind of leaves out is the energetics of sex and where someone is coming from. And the problem is, if you read the books like, who's familiar with The Game by Neil Strauss? Yeah, who's familiar with The Truth by Neil Strauss? Have you read it?
My youngest brother put me onto it.
Oh, so you went through the whole, you read through the whole thing, or?
The first one I read and studied. I was like, I also was diagnosed with autism, super nerd,
Oh,
taught myself all
huh.
sorts of like quantum physics.
Yeah.
But that meant that I had all these retarded stories in my head that I was women hate me. That was my early 20s. And then that book came out, and all of a sudden I went to level two.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
and so I studied that religiously, but then I started to get turned off for all the reasons you can it can start to devour you.
Yeah.
You really do start treating women as numbers. She's an 8.5. And then I was completely turned off by the whole pickup experience. And then my brother, who's just a natural, he's just crazy. He gave me that book many years later, and he says Neil's turned it around. And I've only read through it once. I don't really know it, but I was very happy to see that someone who is the best of the best, the not that there are sides, but he broadened his horizons.
Yep. 100%, man. It was like a crisis of faith for me for years. After I read that, the first book, because I wanted a relationship, but I wanted sex, and I thought they were mutually exclusive. And like I wanted sexual freedom and full self-expression. And then when the truth was coming out, its first title was Game Over. That was one of the titles that he put out there, and I remember just being so eager, enthusiastic, and excited to read it. And then I read it, and it was haunting because early on in the book, we see that he has these desires just for sex that to his conscious mind seem to be just desires for sex. Like, oh, she's hot and I'm attracted to her and I want to be with her. But underneath that, there's this whole psychological architecture and infrastructure of I wonder who Joe is. Is that either of you? That might be somebody else. Who's Joe? We welcome. A wizard is never late. He always arrives precisely when he means to.
Hey, sorry, my phone is like not allowing me to adjust
Okay, it's the
anything,
third
so I
guy.
joined on my PC.
That's fine, man. It's all good. I was just trying to easily initiate who might be someone new into the space. Um, so, the thing about the conscious experience of sexual desire is it might be contaminated by unmet emotional needs. And one of the craziest things one of my coaches said in the past year was most people's sexual desires and drives are basically contaminated by unmet emotional and spiritual needs. So they're really craving after something that they're meant to get from God. Our hearts were made for you, O Lord, and they are restless until they rest in you. That was the mystic Saint Augustine in his Confessions, and it's really resonated with me that there is a hole in the human heart that no hole filling can fill. There's a hole in the human heart which no hole filling can fill. And this is after having sex with like 50 women, right? I haven't counted recently. It might be closer to like 45. I can get you an actual number if you're interested. I don't share to impress, but to impress upon you. I've been around the block and I've done some work here and I've had some experiences. And I went from sexually suppressed, like Catholic, no expression, to like losing my virginity and then overly expressed and like obsessed, to seeking exquisite alignment, which gives you a cute little acronym, SEX, right? Suppressed, expressed, exquisite alignment. And I think you all are in the conversation of exquisite alignment. Now, there may be still desires for um, enjoying and experiencing and going different directions in the phase space, which is a term from chaos theory, of your sexual universe. In George Bataille's famous, just amazing, one of the top two books of erotica I've ever read, called Story of the Eye, where he's like, you talk about Nietzschean sexuality. He's like, what if there were no morality and the only thing that we had was our desires and we could just pursue whatever turned us on? That's that book. And it was hot. It was also disturbing because they kill and rape a priest at the end. So it escalates. I much prefer Story of O. Story of O is about this woman who loves her husband or her boyfriend so much that she's like, I will do literally whatever you tell me. And so he basically farms her out to his friends as part of this gentleman's club, and she everything is done from devotion to him. And because as what's his name? William Blake said, what is it in men that women do require? The lineaments of gratified desire. And it's the same in the reverse. We just want them to do what we want them to do. And so there may be areas, angles, or spaces, role playing, BDSM, sexual practice, like different positions, whatever, that once you have this conversation, because this conversation in its specifics is not as important as the frame of having the conversation. There's a prelude to this conversation I highly recommend. It's called the Let's Talk About Sex deck. Um, it's from Games for Humanity. Nope, it's not that one. Sorry. And I've opened so many events with this. I'm going to put it in the chat. Don't worry. Um, like I'll just go out on a date with somebody and I'll pull out this deck. And this deck has questions like, I'm an amazing lover because fill in the blanks, or to me, being in a relationship means. So this is a playful way to achieve the same ends, but it's not as intentional, direct, or formal. And so I may start somebody with this. And I had a date recently where I literally just pulled out this deck and I was like, you want to play a game? And she's like, yeah, sure. Oh, it's saucy and raunchy. It's about sex. And so I started to explore and inquire into the shape and nature of her sexual universe. And it turned out that in the conversation talking about the deck, it was like an easeful way to flirt with her. I was like, oh, you know what? That's actually something I want to do with you. And I literally told her, I think it'd be fun to make out with you. So we made out at the end of the date. It's just that simple. Um, and what you miss with the formalism of the container is like being able to ask like deeper questions in a more meaningful way. Um, and then like sex from levels 3, 4, and 5, it depends on your commitment, right? If you're just here to enjoy and be in bliss and pleasure, like move at your leisure. Have fun going in whichever direction your inspiration guides you. Knowing that there's nothing you have to do, there's nothing she has to be, there's no way she has to show up for you. You can make any request you want, and she can accept, decline, or counteroffer whatever proposals you make, um, or offers, or whatever. And then there's level 4 and level 5, which they're energetic and intentional qualities that you carry into level 4 and level 5. So level 4 is, how does this relationship serve more than just us? How does it serve our growth and potential? And if I were to redesign this conversation, that's something I would put in there, right? Along with a question of, well, how much work have you done on your attachment style? How conscious and aware of what your sexual desires mean to you, and what is your usual pattern? Like it can become an assault, which is why it's more fun to start with this. Like if you're on a first date or a second date with somebody and you start asking these, like you'll win lots of points for respect, and it doesn't have to be like an interrogation. I mean, these questions, I mean, these aren't even really necessary. How do you identify? I'm pretty sure I know how she identifies. Like, I mean, if I'm dating someone who's that butthurt about pronoun use, by the time we get to this conversation, probably that will have come up. So I won't necessarily have to ask that. Sexual preferences, yeah, if I want to be clear, that might be useful. Relationship status. If single, what would your ideal relationship look like? You're kind of sneaking something in the back door there, which is like, hey, if you were in a relationship, what would you want? Because I might want to create that with you. If you're open or poly, what are your relationship agreements? Yeah, because and that's what I got from that woman. Like she was like, all right, well, I only have sex full on with somebody who's creating a clear space. Now, meaning, I really appreciate his version of this conversation. Sorry about the swiping there. What would it mean if you would it mean you wanted to be in a relationship with me if we had sex? Would it mean you're just celebrating our bodies sexually without any commitments? Maybe you're not clear on what it would mean to you. Warning sign. Somebody may be absolutely clear what it means to them on the conscious level, but completely unconscious and unaware of what's going on, which is why I recommend for our next time you all read my book. And it's the audiobook, right? You can actually just skip to who's chewed on this at all? It's okay if not. I would skip to chapter 3, right?
Mm.
I'll send you this in the chat. And that's who wants
Mm.
more of this?
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, we're gonna do it again next week, so you're invited back. Your homework assignment, because you guys like sex, is to start the book, read chapters 3 through 6. That's like an hour,
Mm.
right? It's
Mm.
like an hour. So and I promise you'll learn shit. I promise you'll be turned on. I promise you'll have fun with it. And
Mm.
you'll see because it's the most visceral example
Mm.
of how I thought I was clear on what it meant to me. So I don't trust people's verbal reports anymore. It's an energetic, intuitive, like discernment process on are they as mature as they think they are? Are they as spiritually attuned and responsible and respectful as they think they are? Because what happened with this past woman is we entered a pure plain casual sex container. But what our nervous systems were doing, because we eventually slipped into a full-on relationship, was we were getting the nutrition of a relationship from each other through the sex, through the hangouts that we would have without being fully aware of or acknowledging or responsible for that. So when we became polyamorous, we were unaware of the depth of intimacy our sexuality had brought about. And this is where this conversation can lead to a level 4 relationship or a level 4 experience of sex, but it doesn't always. Because you can still be asleep to how asleep you are at the wheel of your ego or your nervous system or your patterns. And cultivating that awareness through somatic presence, through desire, through trial and error is how I did it. And I still like, I'm all over the map sometimes, like in my actual experience of visceral desire and fantasy. But when it comes to actual women, I vet excruciatingly carefully. I've had opportunities in the past year to have sex, and I'm just like, no, that's going to turn into something that doesn't work. Like
Mm.
and I respect her, and I think she's cool.
Mm.
I'm going to push for it, or I'm not even open to it, even though it sounds like she is. I had sex, cyber sex. So it's not real sex. That's why I say I haven't had sex in 18 months. But I had cyber sex with this gorgeous, beautiful relationship coach from, it was either Indiana or Illinois.
Mm.
And we met online and we watched Star Trek Voyager together over Zoom. And then I was really turned on by her and I kept telling her. And then I started to like touch myself because it was like a free open flow of whatever. And I was like, wow,
Mm.
you're just so turning me on. And then she was like,
Mm.
oh, am I? So then it turned into this whole thing,
Mm.
which cyber sex is a lot. I mean, just like thinking thinking can be in a certain sense less fulfilling than talking. because it's a derivative
Mm.
function. So also masturbation and cyber sex can be a less fulfilling thing than actual sex because
Mm.
like cyber
Mm.
sex is the pornification of intercourse. And I do
Yeah.
intercourse intentionally. It's meant where more happens when a penis goes in a vagina. We put it in our fucking hand. And more is meant to happen. And there's more like I can remember a woman I dated here in Austin, a Latina girl who I met. She's a go-go dancer. And when one of the first times I had sex with her, she was just like, I don't understand what's going on. I feel energy moving up my chakras. And I don't even really believe in chakras. And I was like, well, that's cool. Now I
Huh.
had done some esoteric work previous that probably
Mm.
activated me. But
Mm. Yeah.
so whether you know it, like it, agree with it, believe it, or aware of it or not, sex always has this spiritual, energetic, emotional component. So
Mm.
may you be wise and discerning in how you engage with it and how you
Yeah.
engage with people. To finish the story about, I almost said her name. I'm careful to protect the anonymity of these people. She's
Mm.
really cool and it'd be curious to find out how she's doing. What happened was we engendered with the level and depth of conversation we were having an experience of like basically girlfriend, boyfriend. And consciously, we were not interested in that. This is the second time it had happened in 2 years. So then I started looking. I was like, shit, people are probably doing this all the time because I'm doing my best to stay awake at the wheel of my ego and to stay on my game. And for her, that cyber sex was just sex. But for me, it was engendering and opening my heart to emotional intimacy. And so when she explicitly told me, hey, I'm about to go spend a week with my former partner, and she started our very first conversation with that over Zoom, which was interestingly enough, after I sent her some poems over Facebook, like I was like, hey, you're cool. I wanna connect more. She's like, oh, I'm cool. You're cool too. Here's some poems. Oh, you're really cool. I want to hang out. Hey, I'm in my underwear, but I'd love to jump on Zoom with you. And then we jumped on Zoom together. Like the crazy experiences I have with women and how easily they can get manifested. I mean, talk about your wish is your command. I had a friend who was like rapid prototyping girlfriends for a while. He was just like, I really want a new partner. So he'd manifest somebody really quickly. And then he'd look at, okay, I want this, this, and this, but I don't want that, that, and that. And he was still very kind and considerate and loving. And then he'd manifest another one and be like, all right, so I'm figuring out what I most desire through these experiences. And I think all of that is just fine, so long as you are acting with conscientiousness and with love, the granting of space and being, the consideration of their needs, desires, boundaries, and whatnot. But long story short, with this relationship coach, and I've dated 3 relationship coaches in the past year, or women trained in relationship like and intimacy. With every one of them, they were asleep at the wheel of their ego to some degree and the impact they were having. And I had to try to communicate and educate them on the impact they were having on me. Like she she pulled away to go be with this other guy and I was like, "Oh my God, this is painful. I need more of a buffer. I need more of an on-ramp into a transition and a different type of intimacy." And it was also me doing an experiment. Like, can I do polyamory again? It's at a distance. It's different. And so I don't think she knew what sex meant to me, and I don't think I did either. I think I intended it to mean something. And then I sort of faulted and judged her for how she was not being as fastidious or as responsible for the impact that she was having. Because that, like they say in orgies, you go the speed of the slowest person in the room, right? So if somebody's got a need or a boundary and you're going too fast and going too far, you could traumatize somebody or wound or upset them and leave a scar emotionally, energetically. So you sensitize yourself to people, which is not the same as contorting, dancing, people pleasing. It's like, how can I stay awake and considerate and listening and receiving? So you all see why even this question is not always enough to find out where people are coming from. Yeah. And the book, who's committing to the book? It's just an hour. Okay, cool. Yeah, and feel free to do more if you want. You'll find it entertaining, I think. That relationship was so good that I was just like, everybody in the world needs to know how to do this. Is there anybody who would be impacted by us connecting sexually? Another lover, a primary partner, recent ex-partner. How would they be impacted? Is it worth it? This is good to know. Because when she and I, that last partner before the relationship coach, um, started having sex, we were polyamorous, and she thought our agreement was, oh, I can have sex with anybody I want, whenever I want. And I don't have to do anything. I don't have to tell you whatever. And I was like, clearly no, that was not my agreement. My agreement was we can do whatever we want, but we give each other the opt-in by sharing what we intend to do before we do it. And she didn't do that with me. I thought there was an agreement in place that there wasn't. Which, by the way, coming all the way around to the answer to the question of how to deal with tension, if you create an agreement for how to handle conflict and a collective shared intention, then everything becomes easier. And so level four is the space where we intend to include sensitivity and include intentionality in serving each other in the relationship and serving something more with the relationship. And that's a creationship. A creationship is a relationship about more than just itself. It's about us engaging with the wealth of spiritual growth and using each other to go there. So of course I've got to change my background to fit this because it's full on boom. Um, because most people are in level two and level three relationships, and it's not bad at level three because at least we know what game we're playing, where it's just two egos jerking each other off for pleasure and significance and attention and running away from pain. But level three bordering into level four is where it's like we're playing a different game. I want to impact you and uplift you to the maximum degree, and anything less than your highest choice is self-sabotage. So let me not be that and let you be that for me. And how can we turn that into the best it can be? You picking up what I'm putting down, gentlemen? And how to bridge into level four? That's great.
Yeah.
So where are you on your moon cycle? You can tell that he's very much into the new age spiritual community with moon cycle. I mean, like, okay, it's menstruation. Are you ovulating? Did you just bleed? It'd be really useful, right? Because then you know if you come inside her, will it get her pregnant or not? Pregnancy prevention, really good. What would you do if you got pregnant? This is a really useful question. By the way, oh my gosh, would you all like to be members of my community? I've got courses you guys can chew on. Become a social rock star. I've got courses in sex. I'd love to gift you guys this. You down to receive? Cool.
Yeah. Ooh.
I will send you all the link. Your other assignment is to join the community before we talk
Yeah.
next week, which is just a couple like
Hmm.
Can I ask a personal question?
yeah,
You don't have to answer if you don't want to. So you're level five. You were in like a relationship, or at least you were level five. How did it come to end? Was it choice, or was it you guys just no longer met?
so I'm gonna revise and upgrade your phrasing and framing and use of the distinction of the five levels just a little bit. I have an awareness of level five and I practice from level five, especially when I'm teaching. And I have questions about level five when I'm not teaching that mean that I'm not always consciously oriented towards level five. I'm always oriented towards consciously level four because that's uncontroversial. Level four is like, how can I serve humanity with my every action and breath? Level
Hmm.
five is how can I serve God with my every action and breath? And
Hmm.
on the journey there, hopefully, probably I'll be used better in service of humanity. Now, there are 100,000
Hmm.
different interpretations of spirituality and truth in that realm,
Yeah.
literally at least. And then there's 50,000 different interpretations of Christian scripture if you accept the
Ooh.
anthropological and archaeological evidence that that man died and raised, Christ
Hmm.
specifically, which I think is
Hmm.
pretty strong to see that he's not just some kind of Christ consciousness thing. I think he was a real guy, and we have more
Mm.
credible biographical evidence closer to his life than we do for his existence and the strange shit that he did than we have for Alexander the Great. Which is it's
Oh, I didn't realize that. That's juicy. Yeah.
yeah, if you look at the case. So there's a whole
Mm.
conversation, the case for Christ, an investigative journalist whose job it was to
Mm.
vet stories because
Mm.
as he's writing stories for the newspaper, if he gets it wrong, he loses his job or someone might die. Like someone might
Mm.
end up on death row. So his wife converts to Christianity. He's like, I'm going to prove this shit wrong. I'm gonna I'm gonna interview every scholar who studied the Bible for decades more than me. I'm gonna engage with every psychiatrist who looks to see was Christ just crazy or could he have actually not died, but it looks like he died, and maybe and then after it was like a year or 2 years, he was like, "Nope, it's all real." Like that quote from The Force Awakens. All the stories about
Mm.
the Force and the Jedi, they're real.
Yeah.
The
Oh
old
yeah.
Harrison Ford. So your inquiry may vary. No one has to land in the inquiry that I'm in
Mm.
around all that. And part of why I haven't had sex in such a long time is I'm surrounded by these Christians that are like, no, don't have sex. And it would be okay if I had sex. God is forgiving in that perspective. But
Mm.
I'll say two things. My ego resists that form of level five. I've got two eight-figure coach mentors who are diehard Christians following God in the form of Christ and having serendipity, synchronicity, miracle, magic, and manifestation follow them beyond anything that I've
Ooh.
seen from people from the spiritual community, the Tantra,
Wow.
whatever, generally speaking. And
Mm.
I'm just like, well, how are you doing this? Because who do you listen to, right? You listen to those who
Yeah.
have one can tell you how to get it. Well, I choose the
Yeah.
most thriving
Mm.
life. I choose 8 to 9 figures as an entrepreneur. I choose a self-sustainable off-grid village, sex 17 times in a weekend with my wife, and a
Woo.
beautiful family and community. And so between those two, they've got all that I'm looking for. But like
Mm.
answering the question of who's got the right ultimate perfect interpretation of Christ, I don't have that answer. And I'm reading the Bible now and I write WTF in all caps in the margins on a regular basis because I'm like, I don't know that I buy this.
What?
And what does this even
Mm.
mean? And then there are other moments where in my heart of hearts, I kneel, I take a knee and I'm like, all right, God, uh, Hebrews says God is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. And I don't know if it's a him, but I do know infinite intelligence is guiding and making manifestations happen. Even if you're working at level two and using your wish as your command, how does the universe know what to give you that's in your best need? That is
Mm.
a being beyond me, outside of me, and more than me, that is doing things with my desires, with my intentions, with what I feed the field through my
Mm.
visualization, vibration,
Mm.
and creating things that go beyond mini me. So that's even if you
Mm.
start off at level two and you get really great at manifesting, you'll eventually get strong belief in level five. Like there's something that is more
Yeah.
than just you, that is guiding all these things, that orchestrated everything. I mean, we talked about this last time. So this was all to explain level five. I promise you I'm
Mm.
coming back, Jesse. Um,
Mm.
so somebody can have the awareness of level five and think of it like a ladder. They can have their hand in level five and be moving towards level five, but not be currently embodying it. And just because someone has an awareness of that level does not mean they are it all the time. So our relationship was guided by God's hand. I believe that something came of it that was meant to come of it that went beyond just our desires for it. Um, and I believe that most of the time it's easier for people to just be operating from level four because not everybody's intuition guides them in the same direction. And I don't think all spirits are interested in your highest choice. I think there are spirits that are interested in siphoning energy from you. And so
Mm.
following any and every spiritual tradition is not necessarily the best choice for everyone. Um, but yeah, so to come back to your question, do I believe that the relationship was level five and how did it end? Well, I'll tell you how it ends. Read the book. I'm just playing. We consciously uncoupled because she wanted kids and I did not, or excuse me, I wanted kids, and she had already had two. And then there were unconscious patterns that we were having trouble resolving. Um, Arguably, she fell asleep at the wheel of her avoidant attachment nervous system, and I fell asleep at the wheel of my anxious attached nervous system. And we're not the bitch of our bodies. We're not the bitch of our nervous systems, but we do have certain conditioned capacities that are at certain levels right now. And so honoring where we're at right now, like historically, in the past, I affirm, so cancel clear. In the past, I affirm I've had this type of a nervous system, and it predisposed me to, certain types of perception and response patterns and behavior. Like the point of this relationship was to make me aware of attachment theory and also show me how good it can get with level 4 conscious container creation and intention and conversation and invitation. And I wouldn't have gone all in with writing this book if I wasn't in heartbreak, like super depressed, trying to make meaning from like putting together the shards of this relationship. Um, yeah, let's bring your voice into the room. Something cool to consider about Jesus, Moses, etc. Yogis in the East all say Jesus is a master. The stories are true. Sathi Sai Baba often talked about this on YouTube. Paramahansa
Mhm.
Yogananda has a
Mm.
whole audiobook about Jesus, Sathi Sai Ma, my master. Which, by the way, Sai Ma, that's really cool because a lot of the landmark forum leaders, like the highest level leaders in that very hallowed old school organization, they train under Sai Ma too. Also says Yeshua is the resurrection and the life, amongst other things. They have
Yeah.
nothing to support Christianity, but say Jesus is an ascended master, barely bodily ascended as well as consciously. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Amen.
Well, I mean, you can go that direction if you want, Joseph. I am.
It's a fun direction. It's a fun direction.
Some days I'm yes and amen. Some days I'm let me nail you to the cross myself, Christ. Like, because my literally because of pain I've been
Oh,
through and like moments of distrust and resonance, and so like
yeah.
I don't know what the ultimate truth about that is, but I know so.
Yeah.
You can't wash off your baptism, and I might not believe in God or resonate with Christ in the way that these two people, these coaches do, but my nervous system does. So
Oh,
through the years of being an atheist, an occultist, a Buddhist, a Taoist,
yeah.
New Ager, personal development obsessive, I would still pray to Christ. I would still reach out to God in
Huh.
moments of desperation or brokenness or pain or suffering or whatnot. And yeah, I don't know the end of that story. I've got a third book that I'm planning on publishing. It's called The Gnostic Knife Fight. It's my journey from Protestant
Ooh,
like to atheist to occultist to all of what I just shared.
I like that title.
Thank
Yeah.
you. And I haven't
Yeah.
completed that journey yet, so I can't publish it because I
Hmm.
really want to finish the journey. Um,
Yeah.
but it's good and people have reviewed it well. So long story short, I caution against saying this person is level 5.
Mm.
They may have an awareness of level 5. They may have opened their heart to level 5. They may be even operating from it from a while. And then they fall back into level 1 or level 2. And just because someone achieves that status once doesn't mean they are it all the time. And it also doesn't mean they're better or worse. It's just how they're choosing to play life. And I've found a way philosophically to where the 5 levels are inescapable for me. Like I can't unsee them and they make sense to me. But not everybody has to buy into it. And there's an intrinsic suggestion of hierarchical like betterness. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is a higher number, right? That may or may not be ultimately objectively true. But for everybody here, you want the highest level in perspective, right? I mean, you want to be able to operate from there at least so that you have
Yeah.
that option and that capacity. And another tricky part is you can't force a flower to unfold, either in relationship or in spiritual growth. So, like, if I see level 5 and it even makes sense to someone else, they're not necessarily going to arrive at level 5 because they perceive it. They may say, okay, well, I'll play that game some of the time, but I'm not going to go all in with it because the ego is cunning, clever, creative, agile, powerful, and it doesn't like to give up control. And if somebody is living full on level 5, literally everything in your life gets put on the altar and sacrificed in service to whatever God wants from you moment by moment. Talk about my friend Andres, for example. God tells him when to sleep and what to fucking eat. I mean,
Yeah,
like, I don't know that I want to live that way, but I
yeah.
play in that direction. I play in that direction and I'm in the investigation. I'm in the inquiry. Because for me, and I literally had this conversation earlier this week with the leader of Earthwaking, Jonathan England. He's one of these eight-figure coaches, one of my best friends. Um, and I said, hey, can you tell me and prove and demonstrate what the canon of Scripture is? Because some Christians, they just threw out the book of Revelation. Some Christians, they include the Gospel of Thomas. Some, they include First Enoch. Like, how do we know what's true? And you can't just give me the Nicene Creed and that's what there is to believe. You've got to answer these deep theological questions in order to make sense of it. Because Christianity is a complicated meaning-making machine. It's one of the best humanity has ever devised. And it really supports people when interpreted in certain ways. There's a range of interpretations that really help people to attain real divine knowledge and experience. St. John of the Cross, St. Teresa of Avila, St. Therese of Lisieux, Meister Eckhart. They are Catholic or Christian mystics. And they've had real experiences that are just as real as Joe's ascension symptoms,
Yeah,
right? And so I
yeah.
won't dispute, I won't negate, I won't fight against, I won't tell them that they're bad and wrong.
Mhm.
But how do we go from those experiences to supporting the world and like giving guidance and direction to the whole world? I don't know. See, even
Mhm.
translating those into level 4 is difficult.
Mhm.
Translating level 5 into something that we could point everybody to and say, just follow this leader, just follow this teacher, just follow this interpretation. I don't know whether it's Saima or God through Andres Alejandro Martinez
Mhm.
expressing Christ. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not ready to say yet, hey, here's who you have to be, here's who you have to follow, here's the ultimate dogmatic truth, which makes me not really a Christian because the central
Mhm.
thing in Christianity is preach the gospel. And it's like,
At least in the King James interpretation, yeah?
what's that?
At least in the King James interpretation. Yeah.
Well, I mean, in the Gospel of Matthew at the end of the book, it's definitely there.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, does that give you some more context, Jesse, around the 5 levels and how I hold those and where people can land? And did I answer your original question too?
Yes. Oh, you knocked the first one out of the park. Really have a lot to work with there. And I really like the distinction you made between 4 and 5 and how it's you can have an awareness of 5 and not be fully in. Is the I can be like that completely when it comes to spirituality. A lot of people say you're so spiritual. But I have an awareness of it. I get angry all the time about stupid things, but I have an awareness at least later that this is the if you get triggered, that means there's something in you that needs to come out. But that doesn't make me spiritual. I just have an awareness of it.
Yep.
Mm.
Yep.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
There's
Yeah.
a whole world there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can be on a spiritual journey. Are you enlightened? Ram Dass used to say, "Go home, hang out with your family, then get back to me." Like, and I had a full-on explosion,
Mm.
like angry, banging on walls and other stuff with my mom on Tuesday, because
Oh.
or was it Monday? I forget. It was one of those days. And 'cause he was staying with me and cleaning my house. And we're going to end actually with, I'm going to show you guys a video I made that I'm really proud of. It's one of the coolest things to celebrate and honor and appreciate both my relationship with her and love, because we're here to awaken relentless love. And love is so truly and deeply, really alive in that video. And I'll probably cry. I usually do when I rewatch it. I've rewatched it like 4 or 5 times that I made in an inspired moment to capture because I was healing my eyes. So she came down to stay with me and she organized and cleaned my whole house in a way that was amazing. And
Mm.
um and so as I look around at my house, I'm overwhelmed by that love. And love doesn't come from people, it comes through people when you tune to it. I tune to it through cleaning up my side of the street and opening myself to receive. And once you open yourself to receive, you can perceive everything as love. Even if your mom is fucking with you, it's still love showing you what there is to do and what there is to grow.
Hmm.
Ooh.
Similar to pain, tough love, like a pain is a function to it.
Well, yeah, if anybody still triggers you, you've still got work to do. If anybody has
Yeah,
the
yeah,
ability to take you out of peace and
right.
joy, that means you're
Yeah.
living from a lie
Hmm.
that you told yourself or some story or limiting belief.
Yeah.
And so your job is to find that weed and weed your gardens so that you can smell the flowers of love in every
Mm.
moment. And that model, when brought to relationships, it really
Mm.
worked because then she's no longer the problem. How she's triggered me and what I'm going to do with that becomes the opportunity. And there is no problem anymore because everything's perfect and we can choose to grow and we actually don't have to. There's an amazing book called Transformation Through Intimacy by Robert Augustus Masters, and he was controversial because of how like his organization or handling with organizations turned into sort of culty, and yet his book's really good because he talks about how whatever you can name, distinguish, and include in the frame of your relationship, you can play with, you can dance with, rather than dying from or hurting because of. So even if somebody triggers you, even if somebody were to literally physically attack you, you could still choose to receive that as love. Because love doesn't come from people, it comes through people when you tune to it. So no matter what they do, you can choose to use it to love you more and to receive God more. Even if it, because we go where we live emotionally, we use our environment to get us there and the people in it to get us there. So we're manifesting through people how they treat us. And we train other people how to treat us and how we treat ourselves. And so, either through us taking or not taking responsibility for some variety of communication and engagement with some person next to us, um, we're either opening ourselves for behavior that's dysfunctional and dysregulated, or we are manifesting behavior that's dysfunctional and dysregulated because we get what we fear most, we get what we resist most. You become what you think about most of the time. It's just most of you is thinking about things that you've never thought about most of the time at an unconscious level, right? And that becomes your vibrational field. And so, for me, it was All Women Are Untrustworthy Cheaters was a program that I had running for a long time. And I kept manifesting woman after woman who was an untrustworthy cheater. In fact, that woman I mentioned earlier, she was cheating on her partner to be with me, just the tip, right? And it fulfilled my story because the subconscious mind would rather be right than happy, right than powerful. Because if we're right about something and we can force our reality to keep giving us what we expect, then at least that's something we can survive because we've survived it in the past. And if it repeats, then we know it's familiar. And that's not us intending that, that's just the mechanism of it. So, anyway, I choose to remember how we got all the way over here. Anybody got some clues or cues? Because sometimes I go off on wild, fun tangents. We can go back to the best sex conversation, probably. That'll be a fun tangent to go back.
Didn't
Go ahead.
b- before we got onto this, weren't you talking to Joe about something?
Yeah, Joe, you want to remind me what it was?
Oh, Jesus. Which thing? About,
We were talking about Jesus, yes, but that's not it.
oh, sorry. I'm like, I haven't slept but 2 hours in the past
That's
36
all right.
hours.
We can let the thread go, and it'll come back if it's meant to.
Yeah, yeah.
Feel free off camera to I choose to remember, and if something comes back to you, let me know. But
Mm, mm.
because me choosing to remember makes things happen. But let's see. Aftercare and expectations. After we have sex, what would feel good to you and me? Cuddling, staying close. Would you like me to sleep over? Would I like you to sleep over? This is dignifying the person rather than the awkward post one night stand, letting yourself out of the house. Oh, you were going to show us a heart touching video. Yeah, that's going to happen in, like 6 minutes. That's funny. Um, you're getting a quick look at the back end of all of my stuff, including my upcoming podcasts.
Oh,
Oh,
I got to start making a podcast too, man. Okay. I'll
oops.
tap you.
Yeah, so now you're seeing the future ones. There is no casual sex, head, heart, cock harmony, non-monogamy as a spiritual path, diffuse your divorce.
Oh,
Yeah, there's all kinds of cool stuff coming out. Anxious to secure,
yeah.
Ayurveda, energetic hygiene, shame,
Oh,
sex.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I definitely want
So
to see
just
that Ayurveda
follow me
one.
on YouTube if you want all this stuff. But where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay. So we'll look at this. Oh, you know what? So I love my mama. She organized my house while I was sick. I realized how much she loves me. Barely able to contain, collect, and capture this awareness. I made this video. It's really precious, and it's like it'll be easier for me to show it through what do you call it? Through I'm gonna bring all of our threads to a close and a completion, like they will land. And
Hmm.
meanwhile, I'm also going to give that link for the one-on-one call.